咱過去一個禮拜，咱開始咱嘅教會，這個叫做讀書 Talk 6這個小組聚會。
Last week we started our toxic small groups campaign.
請問有參加這個聚會人舉手？
Let me ask you, who among you joined this campaign? Please raise your hands.
有冇 ？OK， 企起嚟。
Please stand up.
Let's stand up。嚟參加這個 Talk 6嘅人企起嚟，已經有參加嘅。
Who are
Last week,
already
any
joined
small group, you join the
toxic
small
small
group.
group, please stand up. Any small group.
Stand up. Okay, those who still seated,
Those.
you can still join the toxic campaign. Okay? 所以你看你邊頭人，伊人無企起來哦。You are the one to invite him or her to join your small group this week. Okay? 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 Take a seat. 每一禮拜嘅 toxic 嘅聚會，伊嘅題目都是家己一個真特別嘅題目。
Every week's toxic session is each individual's very special topic.
所以雖然你若無參加，
And although you may not have joined one session,
but next section you can still join.
you can still join the next session.
所以你看賣你佇倒落，你愛參加，你去後壁有一個 bush 底下，你問看賣，你愛參加到一個 small group 或者 toxic 這個 small group。
So later on, you can go out and take a look at the groups that are available, one that may be closest to your home, and you can join one of those groups.
今日呢是這個禮拜以後一個 message。
And today is the message after the week's message.
所以每一個禮拜嘅 toxic 以後有一個 message regarding to last week what we learned。
So every Sunday we will have a message that is in conjunction with the lesson that we learned in the past week.
今日我要講一個真正重要嘅 principle，叫做 remove and replace principle。
And today I'm going to teach you a very important principle, and that is the remove and replace principle.
我哋讀一擺啊
Let's
Read
read this
together.
together.
，remove and replace principle。Again， remove and replace principle。漢文是除去及代替嘅原則。The last week，咱學習嘅真正重要嘅功課，
Last week we learned a very important lesson.
思想對咱嘅人生有真大嘅影響。
Our thoughts enormously influence thoughts influence our life enormously.
有一個真正出名嘅哲學家講一句話：
Very famous philosopher said,
人是思想萬物之源。
everything stems from the human mind.
咱嘅一生無離開咱嘅思想。
Our thoughts affect our whole life.
你想什麼，
Whatever you may be thinking,
你將來就做出什麼款嘅人。
that is what you are going to become in the future.
I think 你不聽到呢款嘅聲音。
You probably have heard this saying,
你養一個觀念就受一款嘅行為，
you sow an idea and reap an act.
你哋養一款嘅行為就受一款嘅習慣，
Sow an act and reap a habit.
你哋養一個習慣就受一個人生嘅性格，
Sow a habit and reap a character.
你哋養一個性格就受你嘅人生。
Sow a character and reap a way of life.
你哋思想決定咱嘅行為，
Our thoughts determine our behavior,
咱嘅行為決定咱嘅人生。
and our behavior determines our life.
人，每個人都愛改變家己嘅人生，
And everyone would like our lives to be changed.
但係需要大先改變你嘅行為。
But first, you've got to change your behavior.
但是行為未改變，嗱思想無改變。
But behavior would not change unless our thoughts
所以咱
change.
back to the basics，
So you need to go back to the basics.
你嘅思想需要改變。
Your thoughts need to be transformed.
但是人，咱嘅 nature 都比較消極，
But our human nature is very often more pessimistic.
咱真多負面嘅思想，
We have a lot of negative thoughts.
人未關心我，
People don't care about me.
厝內人未聽我，
My family members don't love me.
我永遠無通改變，
I will never be able to change.
我嘅生命無意義，
My life has no meaning.
我恨我家己，
I hate myself.
我人生無喜樂。
There's no joy in my life.
若有上帝，上帝咁關心我，
If there is a God, does God care about me?
這款當中嘅就 toxic thought。
These are all what we call toxic thoughts.
有毒嘅思想喺你嘅裏面，
Toxic thoughts within you.
這個思想充滿喺你嘅頭殼嘅中間。
And these are the thoughts that fill our minds.
每一個人都是咁嘅。
And everyone's like that.
你若未相信，
And if you don't believe me,
咱嚟創一個 test。
let's do a test.
你看咪，
Try this.
我兩個人講話，
If the two of us are talking,
我若講話以後，
and after talking,
我突然間看你，
I suddenly look at you
看你個笑，
and then smile,
咱個講話，
and then we talk again,
我看你，
and then we look at you
個
again,
笑，
and then we smile
咱
again,
個講，
and then we talk.
你笑什麼？
What would you be thinking in your mind?
講個壞話。
It's talking about me.
今日你笑喊，我講你壞話，
Why would you be thinking that I'm
You are
talking about
wrong.
you? You're wrong.
咱講你好話。
We're talking good things about you.
哇，個這個兄弟緣投啊！
Hey, this brother is quite handsome.
哇靠，這很世界好緣投嘅人啊！
Is there any person who's more handsome than this guy in
今
this
日咱
world?
總是笑別人嘅歹，
Why are we always thinking bad about
因為
others?
咱嘅思想充滿着歹嘅思想，
Because our thoughts are filled with negative thoughts.
思想在幫襯人。
May God help
你
us.
需要將這個嘅物件踢走。
You need to get rid of some of these things.
你若總笑別人嘅歹，
And if you always think about the bad side of others,
你嘅面是 unfriendly，
your face will be unfriendly.
無人愛及你做朋友，你也無愛及別人做朋
And no
友。
one wants to be friends with you, and you wouldn't want to be friends with others either.
人看到你就走咯。
And when people look at you, they'll turn away and leave,
咁樣呢，
right?
所以你需要改變。
So you need to change.
咱過去一個禮拜嘅中間，
And in the past week,
咱為讀書做一個真正好嘅 definition。
we came to learn the definition of toxins.
什麼叫做讀書呢？
What are toxins?
所有有毒嘅代志，互人破滅甚至死亡，叫做 toxic，叫做毒素。
Toxins are actually anything that is poisonous and that can cause death, cause sickness, or even death.
有種嘅毒素互咱嘅身軀破滅，
And these are the kind of toxins that make us physically sick.
有種嘅毒素互咱生命屬靈嘅生命破滅。
There are also toxins that make us spiritually sick.
所以咱需要將這個嘅物件踢走。
That is why we need to remove these kind of things.
所以今日呢個題目是 remove and replace principle。
And that is why our topic today is entitled Remove and Replace
什
Principle.
麼叫做 remove and replace principle？
What is remove and replace principle?
It's very simple。
Actually, it's very, very simple.
我頭先有兩個杯，
I have 2 glasses here,
有一個水喺裏面，
and one has got some water in it.
但係 tell you 這個
Some
水裏面是暗淡嘅水
But，this is contaminated water,
我無法啉這個水，
and I won't be able to drink this
因為這個杯裏
water
面真係暗淡嘅
because
水。
there's a lot of contamination within this glass.
What should I do?
What should I do?
Very simple。
It's very simple.
這個暗淡物件
This contaminated water,
我就踢走，
I've got to remove it.
remove 以後，
After removing it,
我將新嘅水
then I get
新嘅
some
水
new water,
清
pure
潔嘅
water,
水
clean water.
replace 落去
I replace them with this clean water,
，so I can drink。
and then I can drink.
這個是清潔嘅水。
This is clean water.
你笑過未？
Think about this.
我若冇 remove 這個物件，
If I don't remove the contaminated
我將
water,
新嘅物件加落去
and then I just pour in some new water,
，what's the outcome？
what would be the
Nothing
outcome?
change。
Nothing changes.
Nothing change。
Nothing
你
changes.
知一步，咱嘅
You know
問題
what?
就是安尼，
This is our problem.
咱裏面真濟 negative、真濟歹嘅物件喺裏面。
We have a lot of negative things within us.
咱聽上帝講道，
We listen to the word of God,
加好嘅物件落去。
and we add some good things to
But nothing
ourselves.
change.
But nothing changes.
Why？
Why?
因為你冇將裏面嘅物件大聲踢走，
Because you're not removing what's inside, the toxins
這
within.
個暗淡仍然喺你嘅思想嘅裏面。
And so the toxic things are still in your thoughts.
你就 remove and replace，
And you've got to remove and replace.
將暗淡物件踢走，將新嘅物件加落去。
You've got to remove the toxic things and add in the good, clean things.
暗淡物件啦，未踢走，
And if you don't get rid of the toxic,
清潔嘅物件未加落去。
you won't be able to add in the clean and the pure.
咱需要 remove and replace。
That is why we need to remove and replace.
remove 什麼 ？replace 什麼？
What do you remove and what do you replace?
Number one.
Number one,
你需要將負面嘅思想踢走，以正面嘅思想去代替。
you need to remove negative thoughts and replace them with positive thoughts.
remove the negative thought and replace the positive thought。請你及你嘅鼻頭人講，
Tell the person beside you,
Tell him, tell him, tell her.
Tell him, tell her.
No, 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 no. Tell him.
Now, tell him or her now.
Remove
Remove
the negative thoughts and replace
with
the positive
positive thoughts.
thoughts. 我跟你講噃
Did you tell him yet?
Remove the negative and replace the positive.
Remove the negative, replace them with the positive.
咱的人生是黑白，還是咱人生有真多彩色？
Whether our lives would be like in black and white or be in colorful,
這是跟你的思想有關係。
it all depends on your thoughts.
黑白有通變做有色無？
Can we turn something that's black and white into one that's colorful?
看你怎有想物件。
It all depends on what you think.
其實每個人都有真多 negative 負面的思想，
Actually, every one of us, we all have some negative
在
thoughts
咱的頭殼裡面，
in our minds.
甚至表現在咱的言語的裡面，
As a matter of fact, it can be expressed in our words
還是咱的行為的裡面。
or our behavior.
咱有時咱未感覺，
Sometimes we may not be conscious about it
直到咱對到一個大問題的時陣，
until we experience a big problem.
咱會忽然間發現一項代志。
And then suddenly we come to a
哎呀，
realization.
原來我這個人很消極的呀！
You realize that I am such a negative person.
我就發現一項代志，
And then I discover something.
我的痛苦
My pains
原來是對我嘅家己負面的思想所產生。
actually emanate from my negative thinking.
我的痛苦，
My pains.
因為我講到真最 negative 嘅話。
I am in pain because I speak a lot of negative
我的
words.
痛苦，
I am in pain.
因為我真最 negative 嘅 attitude，
I suffer because I have a lot of negative
真
attitudes.
最人冇愛我，
And that is why a lot of people don't like
原來
me.
是我嘅問題。
Because the problem is with me.
我現在知呀咯
Now I know.
，What should I do?
What should I do?
Replace and remove principle。
It's a remove and replace
你學
principle.
習將無好物件，看到最後穩定將佢脫走，
You've got to remove what is bad, what is negative by the grace of
將好
God.
嘅物件脫落去。
And then you replace them with what is good.
但是冇容易，
But it is not easy.
真係冇容易呢。
Why is it not easy?
人是習慣嘅動物
People are creatures of habit.
，we used to，咱習慣。
We're always used to doing something.
你講咪？
Look at this.
咱 used to 食什麼，都常常食什麼。
We would be eating the food that we are used to eating.
你去 office，到你嘅厝內 used to 行一條路，規世人行一條路。
And when you go to the office, you take the same route every day, all your life.
咱是受習慣所影響，
And we are influenced by habits.
咱真艱苦改變。
It is very difficult for us
因
to
為這是
change
習慣 used to，unless
because this is a habit. This is something that we are used to. 對到一個真渣大嘅危機，一個 crisis， You experience a big crisis.
你知呀？
Then you know
你若冇個改變，
that if you don't change,
你會死啊
you're going to die.
！You need to change。
You need to change.
邊講？
For
邊講？
example,
忽然間就有對到 cancer，
suddenly you realize that, you are diagnosed with cancer.
你若講冇改變，
And if you don't change,
你得急死。
you're going to die.
你知無？咱規世人哦，都是愛食肉啦。
You know, all our lives we like to eat meat.
若無肉通食，
Without
無物
meat,
件通食，
without meat, we say there's no food to eat.
規桌頂是菜。
And it's all vegetables on the table.
我唔是 rabbit 啊，
I'm not a rabbit.
我都冇愛食啊，
I don't like to eat this.
冇愛食。
So you don't want to eat it.
But
But
你對到 cancer 嘅時陣
but when you are diagnosed with
，I'm
cancer,
sorry, I'm sorry,
I'm sorry,
no chance,
you have no choice.
no choice。
No
你
choice.
若冇個食，
If you don't want to eat,
你就係死嘅。
then you're going to die.
You forced to change。
You are forced to change.
咱嘅生活改變咯。
Our lifestyle is going to change.
你若唔知影你家己喺一個 spiritual crisis 嘅裡面，
When you do not realize that you are in a spiritual crisis,
你未改變。
you will never change.
你講拿住家己真袂歹，真好勢。
And you think that you're doing okay, you're doing fine.
No 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 no，
No,
咱對到真多問題，
we experience a lot of
咱
problems.
真多歹嘅思想，
We have a lot of negative
真
thoughts.
多歹嘅行為，真多歹嘅行動。
We have a lot of toxic behavior.
今日咱冇通改變這個世界，
Why aren't we able to change this world?
因為咱未好勢。
Because there's something wrong with
We
us.
need to change。
We need to change.
但是慢慢，
Yet it's slowly though.
你有通慢慢改變。
You are able to change slowly.
Remove and replace.
Remove and replace.
當咱困難嘅時陣，
When we experience difficulty,
這個是一個真正一個 golden opportunity，
this is a golden opportunity
好你知影你需要改變，
so that you may know that you need to change.
嗱冇改變就冇法咯。
Unless you change, there's no way out for you.
用正面嘅思想嚟代替負面嘅思想
We。must replace or remove negative thoughts and replace with positive thoughts.
有一個日本真正出名嘅作者講一句話，
There's a very famous Japanese author who said,
伊講伊佇幽悶鬱卒無需要去找醫生，用五望代替失望，用樂觀代替悲觀，用歡喜代替憂愁，你就行出人生嘅低谷。
he said that you don't need doctors to cure boredom and depression as long as you replace despair with hope, pessimism with optimism, worry with happiness. You can walk out of the pits of life.
無需要醫生可能是講緊雞頭淡薄，
Perhaps it is an extreme to say, it is quite exaggerated to say that you don't need the doctor,
但是五望代替失望，
but then you need to replace despair with hope,
樂觀代替悲觀，
and pessimism with optimism,
歡喜代替煩惱。
worry with happiness.
That is truth。
And that is a truth.
咱人生真最 negative 嘅代志，
There are a lot of negative things in our
你
lives,
需要踢走。
and you need to remove them.
但是我想解釋一件重要嘅代志，
But let me explain something very important.
咱唔是講 positive thinking。
We are not talking about positive thinking.
Positive thinking 有幫助你，
Positive thinking is going to help you a bit,
但是 positive thinking 唔是聖經所講嘅話。
but positive thinking is not a biblical teaching.
Positive thinking 是你相信你家己，我有法。
Or rather, positive thinking says that I am able, I
I
can,
am the best。
I am the best.
這個是用你家己查最你家己嘅中心。
But with that kind of a thinking, you are at the center of everything.
No. 咱所謂講嘅 faith and positive thinking, not self-centered thinking.
Faith and the positive thinking is not self-centered thinking.
咱唔是信靠你家己，
We are not trusting in ourselves,
咱係信靠咱嘅上帝。
but rather we are trusting in our
就
God.
是保羅嘅一句話
This is what Paul said.
：I can do all things through Him who gives me strength。
I can-
上帝好我快樂，上帝好我信心，上帝好我 positive。
God gives me the strength. God gives me faith. God is the one who gives me those positive thoughts.
你所受嘅代志，
The things that you think
的
of
確是照聖經講嘅代志。
must be in accordance with the teachings of
Say
the Scripture.
truth of the Bible。
We find the truth in
你
the
唔是
Bible.
相信你家己，你家己無法。
You're not believing in yourself because you can't do it on your
你若
own.
靠你家己，
If you rely on
你有
yourself,
通行路再行路行。
how far can you go? How much can you do?
我相信真侪人未了解耶穌講一句話。
And I believe that a lot of people misunderstand the words of
有
Jesus.
一擺有一個老爸帶一個囝去找耶穌，
There was a time when there was a father who brought his son to see Jesus,
因為伊囝互鬼附着，
for his son was possessed by evil spirits.
而且耶穌將鬼趕出去。
He came to see Jesus and asked Jesus to drive out these evil spirits.
但係耶穌冇伫遐，
But Jesus wasn't around then.
你找無耶穌，
Couldn't find Jesus.
耶穌嘅門徒 disciple 伫遮，
But here were the disciples of Jesus.
伊將這個囝交予 disciple。
So he brought his son to the disciples.
disciple 去趕鬼，
The disciples tried driving out the evil spirits,
鬼趕未出去，
yet they couldn't do so.
老爸真失望。
And the father was very disappointed.
忽然間耶穌嚟咯，
Suddenly, Jesus came
哎呀，
along.
老爸真歡喜，
Father was very happy
將囝倒予耶穌。
and brought the son to Jesus.
你好耶穌啊！
And he said, Jesus,
你嘅囝，你嘅 disciple 無通推我嘅囝趕鬼啊！
your disciples could not drive the evil spirits out of my son.
但是講叫你囝嚟，
And Jesus said, call your son.
一句話，這個鬼就出去。
And with just one word of Jesus, he drove out the spirit.
暗暝嘅時陣，
And at evening,
門徒暗中走去找耶穌，
disciples came to see Jesus privately.
排泄。
They were ashamed.
你講主啊，
Said, Lord,
今日咱趕未出去啊！
why weren't we able to drive
耶穌講
this
一
out?
句話，
And Jesus said,
因為你嘅信心真水，我跟你講，只要你有親像一粒芥菜種嘅信心，無將代志無通行嘅，就對這個山講，對這山去這個所在，的確山去。
Because you have so little faith. I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move.
有罪人 misunderstood 耶穌講一句
A lot
話，
of people misunderstand the words of Jesus.
因為有講 because you have so little faith，
Because Jesus said, because you have so little
咱
faith.
就拿咗耶穌講信心無夠，
And then we thought that Jesus was saying that they didn't have enough
你就
faith.
增加你嘅信心。
That you've got to increase your faith.
你做第二句話講什麼？
But take note of what the second
你
sentence
若有
says.
信心，親像一粒芥菜種嘅信心。
If you have faith as small as a mustard seed,
Mustard seed 是囊中種子嘅籽裏面第萬大碎粒嘅種子。
mustard seed is actually the smallest of all kinds of seed.
耶穌講什麼
What was Jesus
？No no
saying?
no 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 no，
No.
唔是你信心無夠多
No, it's not about the size of your faith.
，no，
No.
是信心嘅對象嘅問題。
But rather, it is the object of your faith.
你冇需要真大嘅信
You
心，
don't need the big faith.
你信你自己。
You believe in yourself.
我有法，我有法，
You
我
have
有
faith
法
in。yourself. I can.
無論你攞辛苦你自己
No matter how much you trust in
，it's
yourself,
not faith。
it's not faith.
你需要相信你嘅信心嘅對象是神啊！
You've got to believe who the object of your faith is.
你小看咪？
Think about this.
你若相信你有一個偉大嘅 God is a great God，
If you believe that you have a great God,
上帝若真偉大，
if God is great,
你嘅問題咧？
what about your problem?
上帝若真大，
If God is this big,
你嘅問題自然就真萬
then naturally you will see your problem as something that's very
你若
small.
看你嘅上帝 is not a big God，
But if you look at your God as not being a big
結果
God,
你嘅問題就拉多。
as a result, your problem will be magnified.
請問，
Let me ask
咱
you,
注意咱嘅問題，還是注意咱嘅上帝？
do we focus on our problem or do we focus on our God?
哎呦，這個問題真大，
No, I've got a big problem, you see.
無法啦。
No,
但
there's no
上
way
帝
out.
來咪無法
And even if God helps me, He won't be able to.
，fourth stage cancer 咧
Fourth stage cancer.
，split 過身軀咧
And it has spread all over the body.
，no。嗱，上帝來咪無法。
Even if God would want to, He wouldn't be able to.
當咱看這個問題真大嘅時陣，
When we look at a problem and we see it as big,
咱嘅問題自然真萬大細。
then our God becomes small.
所以看咪，if your God is a great, your problem is small. If your problem is great, your God becomes small.
So if your God is great, your God is big, then your problem becomes smaller. But then if your God is small, then your problem becomes bigger.
請問，
Let me ask you,
你嘅信心嘅對象喺度落？
who is or where lies the object of
喺
your
你自
faith?
己嘅身上，
Is it in yourself
還是喺上帝裏面？
or is it with
有
God?
時講你無傾明，你只要對我有信心，只要真就一粒芥菜種嘅信心就夠啦
But。Jesus said, if you have faith only as small as a mustard seed, that would be enough.
叫上帝幫助咱。
May God help us.
Remove and replace it。
Remove and replace.
你只要將你自己 negative 嘅信心化做信靠上帝嘅信心。
You need to remove your negative faith and replace it with faith in God.
Number two，
Number two,
妒忌驚嚇思想，用剛強用嘅思想去代替。
remove fearful thoughts and replace them with courageous
我
thoughts.
一擺啊，及你嘅別人講
Again, tell the person beside you.
，tell him。
Tell her.
Remove
now,
the fearful
fearful
thoughts
thoughts
and
and
replace
replace
the
with
courageous thoughts.
thoughts.
Tell him。
Tell him now.
咁你講嘅
Tell her.
現在啊啦
Tell him or else he
Tell
doesn't
him.
know.
，remove the fearful
Fearful
thoughts
thoughts
and
and
replace
replace with
the courageous
courageous
thoughts。
thoughts.
咱真最驚嚇嘅代志，
We have a lot of things that make us fearful.
但係其實你第一驚嘅應該是驚嚇本身，唔是驚嚇嘅代志。
But actually, what you should be fearing the most is fear itself, not the things that you should be fearing about.
我唔知你明白我講呢句嘅意思噃？
Not sure whether you understand what I'm trying to say.
第32屆美國嘅總統羅斯福講咗一句話，
Third,
佢講：咱唯一需要驚嘅代志，就是驚嘅本身。
32nd President of the United States, Roosevelt, said the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
當咱驚嘅時陣，
When we are fearful,
可能唔敢個行落去；
it makes us not being able to move
當
forward.
咱驚嘅時陣，
When we are fearful,
咱未開始，咱就 give up。
We give up even before we have started.
所以咱每一個人應該驚這項代志，唔是驚嘅代志。
So every one of us, what we really need to fear is fear itself.
講一個故事，你聽你就知咯。
Let me share a story with you and you'll know.
有一個人及死亡沙土，
One day there was a person who encountered death
death.
along the street.
伊問死亡你去倒咯？
He asked death, where are you going?
啊，嗰度一個 city，
And I said, I'm going to that city
因為上帝叫我今日咧提死10萬嘅人
because God has instructed me to kill 10,000 people in that city
，I
today.
have no choice。
I have no choice.
上帝命令，
It's God's command.
所以這個死亡就行咯。
And so death left.
哇！這個人聽到，
When this person heard
走
of
啊
this,
走啊走啊，
he ran.
走ahead 這個死亡，
He ran so hard to run ahead of death.
通知這個 city 嘅人，
And he notified the people in the city
死亡不嚟咯，
that death is about to come.
而要提死10萬嘅人，
And he's going to kill 10,000 people.
真衰啲，be careful。
So be careful, be careful.
After one day，
After one day,
死亡嚟咯。
death indeed came.
等死亡離去嘅時陣，
And when death left,
這個 city 死了7萬嘅人。
there were 70,000 people who were dead, who were left dead in that city.
Instead of 10萬嘅人，死了7萬嘅人，
Instead of 10,000 people, there were 70,000 people who were killed.
這個人無歡喜。
This person was very unhappy.
以及死亡講：
He said to death,
你今日同我講你提10萬嘅人，
isn't it that you told me that you were only going to kill 10,000 people?
how come死了7萬嘅人？
How come 70,000 people died?
死亡講一句話
And death said,
：Don't blame me，
don't blame me.
唔是我嘅代志啦。
Isn't my problem.
我實在提了1萬人，其他6萬人家己驚死。
Indeed, I killed only 10,000 people, but the rest of the 60,000 people died of their own fears.
我驚，
I'm afraid.
咱真濟人是好家己掛意，家己嘅憂慮害死家己。
I'm afraid that a lot of us will die because of our own worries, of our own fears.
為什麼呢？
Why?
因為咱真軟弱。
Because we are very weak.
David 講一句話。
David said,
伊哋詩篇22篇第6節講：我是藤，我唔是人。
Psalm 22 verse 6, David said, but I am a worm and not a man.
藤是代表軟弱嘅動物，
Worm represents an insect that's very weak.
從來冇一條藤有通徛起
There
來，
has never been a worm that is able to stand up upright.
人有通徛起來，
A man is able to stand upright
因為人有一個脊骨，
because man has a spine.
人是脊椎骨嘅動物，
Because a man is a creature that has got a spine.
所以咧當徛起來。
That is why we're able to
但
stand
係
up
藤是
upright.
無龜身骨是人嘅
But the worm, the whole body is very soft.
，cannot stand up。
It cannot stand up.
人是藤，
But a man is a worm.
是代表人是軟弱，
Meaning to say, man is very weak.
人唔是 Superman。
Man is not a Superman.
Superman 已經死了咯。
Superman has been dead long time ago.
冇一個人是剛強嘅人，
No one is a strong man.
你若唔相信，
And if you don't believe
你
me,
嚟個做一個 test。
let's do another test.
你問你家己
You ask yourself,
，honest，
honestly
問你家己，
ask yourself,
你出世到現在，
from the time that you were born up until now,
喺你嘅思想裏面，
in your mind,
你不一擺，還是 more than 一擺，不受愛去死？
have you ever thought, at least once in your lifetime, entertained the thought of committing suicide?
唔免舉手拍
You
手，
don't have to raise your hand.
心嚟講 yes，
Well, if you just say yes in your heart,
yes，
yes.
為什麼呢？
Why?
專家講，
Experts tell us
人嘅一生嘅中間，
in the lifetime of a person,
一個人可能 more than 2 times
surely there will be at least 2 times
or more than
or more
愛自殺，
in the person's lifetime that he would entertain thought of taking his own life,
特別近超了嘅，
especially those who are already married.
看到你翁死了較好，
You see your husband and said, oh, better for me to die.
看到你嘅某，哇靠，
Look at
生得
your wife.
死了了，
You look at your wife and say, oh, I should have been dead.
父母看到囝死就好咯。
Parents look at the children and they say, would be much better if I were dead.
你唔通笑，囝看到你也是講死了就好咯。
Don't laugh, because the children, when they see you, they would say the same thing also.
Because family problems，
Because of family problems.
梗係安尼呢？
Why?
因為咱每個人真 negative.
Because every one of us, we are very weak.
咱心內真正 fear。
We have a lot of fears in our
咱
hearts.
無夠嘅剛強面對咱遇到嘅困難
We
同
do
問
not
題。
have the strength to face all the difficulties and problems in life.
But 唔捌看到一條藤徛起來
You have never seen a worm stand up upright.
，but I teach you a method。
But let me teach you a method
你看到一條藤有藤徛起來
that you would be able to see a worm being able to stand up.
，very simple，very
Very simple.
simple。
Very simple.
你將一條茶放喺這個藤嘅頭前，
You get a piece of a stick in front of the worm.
這個我咪將呢條茶逼起來，
Worm will crawl up the stick.
哦，這條藤徛起來，
Then the worm will be able to stand up
因為伊
upright,
頭
stand
前有
straight.
一嚿茶，
Because there is this piece of stick, a piece of wood in front of it.
咱需要一嚿茶。
We all need a piece of stick.
耶和華上帝就是咱這嚿茶，
And the Lord Jehovah is our stick.
咱看到上帝有通徛起來，
And as we trust in God, we are able to stand up straight.
大衛真明白這項代志。
David understood this very
伊
well.
伫詩篇46:1-9安尼講：
This is what he says in Psalm 46, verses 1 to 3.
上帝是我的避難所，是我的力量，是我哋患難中間隨時嘅幫襯。
God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble.
雖然對雖然改變，山雖然搖動到海心，其中嘅最想翻騰，山雖然海潮而戰鬥，咱袂驚嚇。
Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, and the mountains quake with their surging.
上帝是咱的避難所，
God is our refuge.
上帝是咱的力量，
God is our strength.
上帝是咱隨時嘅幫襯。
God is our ever-present help in trouble.
什麼人需要避難所？
Who needs a refuge?
患難的人需要避難所
A。person in trouble needs a refuge.
什麼人需要快樂？
Who needs strength?
軟弱嘅人需要快樂。
A person who's weak needs strength.
什麼人需要幫襯？
Who needs help?
無助嘅人需要幫襯。
Helpless person needs help.
你需要承認你家己無快樂，你家己嘅患難中間，你需要這個幫襯。
You need to admit that you yourself are a person that is powerless. You are in trouble. You are helpless.
God is our refuge, our strength, our ever-present help。叫上帝幫襯咱。
May God help us.
什麼叫驚嚇？
What is fear?
驚嚇就講你心理受到刺激，讓咱無快樂去頭前行落去，讓咱失去盼望，讓咱未看到啲困難嘅後邊其實有光明。
Fear is an agitated state of mind which renders a person powerless to move forward, makes him lose hope and unable to see the light behind the difficulties.
什麼叫做勇敢？
What is courage?
勇敢是另外一種嘅心理嘅狀態，讓咱有信心、有決定來面對頭前嘅困難。
Courage is another state of mind, and it gives a person the confidence and resolution to face difficulties ahead.
咱勇敢，
We are
唔
courageous,
是因為咱勇敢，
not because we are courageous on our own,
人是藤，
because a man is a worm.
人唔是人。
We are not a man.
咱勇敢嘅咧，就係上帝。
We are bold and courageous because we have a
你
God.
看咪
Look at this.
？God knows, don't worry. God cares, don't worry. God provides, don't worry. God is in control, don't worry. 為什麼咱真做驚嚇呢？
Sometimes, why is it that we have a lot of fears?
因為咱唔記得頭前
Because we have forgotten the first statement.
He knows.
He knows.
He cares.
He cares.
He provides.
He provides.
He is in control.
He is in control.
Why you worry?
Why worry?
叫上帝幫襯咱。
May God help us.
We move and we praise the principle.
Remove and replace principle.
Number 3.
Number 3,
妒忌無滿意嘅思想，以感恩嘅思想嚟去代替。
remove thoughts of discontent and replace with thankful thoughts.
Tell the neighbor.
Tell your neighbor this.
Okay, 條講，
Tell them now.
繼講。
Tell them.
Remove the thought of discontent and replace the thankful thought.
Remove thoughts of discontent and replace with thankful thoughts.
你繼講咩？
Did you tell him yet?
你繼講你唔會記得咧啦。
Tell them, otherwise they may forget.
咱真最未滿意，
We have a lot of discontentment.
咱未滿意咱嘅現在。
We are discontented about our our figure.
咱袂滿意咱的面貌，
We are discontented about the way we look.
咱袂滿意咱的丈夫，
We are discontented with our husband.
咱袂滿意咱的太
We
太，
are discontented with our wives.
袂滿意咱的老爸，
We are discontented with our fathers.
袂滿意咱的家
We are
人。
discontented with our children.
咱的面有一個字叫做無滿意，
There is something written on our face, and that is, I am discontented.
所以拆起來就拗臭
So
面。
you wake up in the morning and you have a frowning face.
大家人看你就驚退一步，
And so whenever people see you, they are afraid and they would have to take a step backward
因為你是無滿意的人。
because you are a person who is
你
discontented.
想，
Think about this.
我若有更加好，我就滿意講。
If I have something better, then I would be contented.
我若有更加好嘅工作，
If
我
I
滿意講。
have a better job, I would be contented.
我若有更加好嘅太太，我係
If
滿意
I have
講。
a better wife, then I would be contented.
我若有更加好嘅丈夫，我就滿意
If I have
講。
a better husband, then I would be contented.
更加好嘅車，
A better car,
更加好嘅厝，
a nicer house,
我就滿意啦講。
then I would be contented.
No
No, you won't.
no 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 no，
No, you won't.
你現在係未滿意，
If you are discontented right now,
我你更加好，你仍然未滿意。
and even if I give you something better, you will still remain
Why?
discontented. Why?
因為當你得到更加好嘅時陣
Because when you gain that which is
，you
better,
are looking for another 更加好。
you're going to be looking for something that is even better than that.
你話什麼車啊
What kind of a car do you drive?
？Hyundai、
Hyundai,
Kia、
Kia.
Kia 就 Kia，
Kia is Kia.
我留話車就好咯。
If I change my car, then I would feel a lot better.
話什麼車啊？
What kind of a car would you like
幾
to
張
drive?
咪 Toyota，
Well, at the very least, a Toyota.
好呢部 Toyota 咧
What if you got the Toyota?
，Honda，
You want a Honda.
那部 Honda 咧
And if you got a Honda, what else?
，Subaru，Subaru
Subaru.
is good。
Subaru is good.
那部 Subaru 咧
If you got a Subaru,
，BMW is
you want a
better。
BMW, better.
那 BMW 咧
And if you got a BMW,
，I think Rolls-Royce is the best。
Rolls-Royce is the best.
You never content。
You will never, ever be contented.
你嚟現在嚟唔滿意你現在物件
And if you are not contented with what you've got right now,
，you're looking for another。
and if you're going to be looking for another.
叫上帝幫襯啊！
May God help us.
保羅教咱一個辦法。
And Paul taught us a way out of this.
I am not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned. 注意 the first time I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. Number two, I have learned, the second time, I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all things through him who give me strength. 保羅兩擺提咱一項真重要嘅代志。
And Paul repeated this twice, something that's very important.
I have learned.
I have learned.
滿足是一個學習，
Contentment is something that we need to learn.
無人出世就滿足。
No one is born with contentment.
你若無學習，
And if you don't learn this,
你一生都未滿足。
you will never, ever be contented all your
你
life.
就 learn
You've got to
contentment.
learn contentment.
你現在有嘅物件，
Whatever you've got right now,
你就 learn。
you've got to learn.
你有丈夫，
You have a husband,
感謝主；
learn to be thankful
你
to
有
the
太
Lord for
太，
him. If you have a wife,
感謝主；
be thankful to the
你有
Lord for
囡
her.
仔，
You have children,
感謝主。
be thankful to the Lord for them.
我跟你講，
Let me tell you,
有一日你父母無伫你邊頭，
one day when your parents are no longer around,
我父母無伫我邊頭，
my parents are no longer around.
我冇咯。
I don't have my parents anymore.
你有父母，你講未滿足，
You have your parents with you, you're not even contented.
叫上帝幫襯啊！
May God help us.
你現在有嘅，
Whatever you've got right now,
你就感謝你嘅上帝。
you've got to be grateful to the Lord for them.
點解我跟你講這個見證？我唔知你記得未？
A while back, I shared a testimony with you. I don't know whether you still remember it or not.
我一個太太總是未滿足，
There was a wife who was always discontented.
每滿足伊嘅丈夫，
She was never discontented with the husband.
今日伊嘅丈夫賺錢賺較少，
Why the husband is earning much less than others?
今日伊嘅丈夫親像茶頭嘅，
Why the husband is like a piece of log?
唔知係什麼叫做 romantic，
Doesn't know how to be romantic.
冇親像別人嘅硬漢 romantic，
Unlike the husband of somebody else who are more romantic.
每滿伊家己囝兒，
She is discontented with her own children.
讀嚟讀去，啊冇 first honor，啊冇 second honor，連 mention 都唔俾 mention 一擺話課，
They never get first honor or second honor, not even honorable mention.
冇滿伊家己，
She's discontented with herself.
今日我現在變咗安尼款啊，
Why has my figure turned into this?
因為冇滿意，
Because she was
就
discontented.
冇歡喜，
And that is why she was
因為
unhappy.
冇歡喜，
And she was unhappy,
心情就冇好。
and so she didn't feel
心
good
情冇
emotionally.
好，
She
情
didn't
婦
feel,
就冇
and
好。
as a result, it affected her physically.
啊，佢個謝醫生，
And so she went to see the doctor.
哎呀，醫生講話過嘅
And,
check four stage cancer。
and the doctor told her that you've got 4th stage cancer.
哇，到佢喊一大堆，
She went home and she cried a lot.
但少少唔要緊啊，死了就好咯。
But after a while, she thought that it's okay. I'm going to die
啊，你
anyways.
講你硬，啊你講你見啊，啊冇跌都唔要緊咯。
I don't care because having such kind of husband and children, I don't really care.
老母是老母嘛，
But a mother is a mother.
啊你咪我嗱死了咪做出嚟咪做啊？
What if I die? What if after I die, what's going to happen to my family? She
所以
thought.
決定，比方我哋個世界家每隻見啊係有煮食，有水灑，有處理出嚟代志。
So she started teaching her children to cook and to do the laundry and to do household chores.
今時我嗱死了啥煮食啊？
Because after I die, who's going to do the cooking?
呢個少少，
And then she thought,
比方我死。
before I die,
咪留淡薄紀念。
I would leave some memories to my children.
伊紅真愛拍 golf，
Husband loves to play golf.
嚯！伊買了一隻新嘅 golf 嘅物件俾伊
So
紅。
she bought a new set of golf clubs for the husband.
近少看戲啊！
And the husband was so happy.
伊個囝
The son
真愛看 star，暗暝嘅 star 嘅市。
liked to watch stars at night.
伊買一隻真萬大好嘅 equipment 俾伊。
She bought a very expensive set of binoculars or
Wow.
telescope for the
驚
son.
笑啊！
And the son was so happy.
就冇驚，
And the daughter,
點解就看一隻真萬大水嘅裙，冇用伊。
she saw a set of very beautiful gown that she liked very much, so she bought that gown for the daughter.
伊講我少少，我嚟離開世界以前，
She thought to herself that before I die,
咱盡嘅去揾一擺，
that let's go on a holiday, a vacation with the whole
翕淡
family
薄相。
and take some pictures
下擺爸媽冇哋食，看相咪看到紀念媽
so
媽
that。even if I am no longer around, they'll be able to see these pictures and remember me.
去 Europe
They went to Europe.
鐵頭幾禮拜到嚟
They spent a few weeks in Europe.
，after 6 months，
After 6 months,
點正特別夠咯。
time was about to come.
忽然間哦，
Suddenly,
這個都係冇愛思嘅啦。
this woman no longer wanted to die.
你講這個 after 6 months 以後，
So she said to herself, after 6 months,
看到呢硬，咱就變一個人啦，
seems like my husband has changed quite a bit.
驚冇上去啦，
My children are different.
就冇驚冇上去
My
啦，
daughter is also different.
真簡單嘛。
It's very simple.
你對別人好，別人會對你歹；
If you treat others well, people are not going to treat you badly.
你對別人歹，冇人係對你好。
But then if you treat others badly, then no one is going to treat you well.
其實你冇愛思咯，
So at that point in time,
但
she
是
no
冇愛
longer
思也
wanted
就
to
死
die.
咯。
But then she knew that she was going to die.
醫官卡嚟咯，
The hospital called.
頭一句話
First thing was,
We are very, very sorry.
we are very, very
We
sorry.
big mistake.
We made a big mistake.
Sorry,
Sorry.
you are not cancer.
You have no cancer.
看唔着人。
We actually switched the results, your results.
感謝主美
So
師。
praise God, she wasn't going to die yet.
教會啊，
Church,
你小看未？
think about this.
當咱面對實在要離開世界嘅時陣，
When we are truly faced with the point in time wherein we're about to leave this world,
你是唔是需要改變？
shouldn't you change it?
你講冇改變，
And if you don't change it,
你留什麼見證好你嘅見
what
啊？
kind of testimony are you going to leave behind to your children?
求上帝幫助
May
你。
God help us.
唔通將即個無滿意嘅物件 脱走啦啦。
We must remove this kind of thoughts of discontentment from our minds.
用感恩嚟代替
And，then we replace them with grateful or thankful thoughts.
你嘅人生會變另外一個嘅人生。
Then your life is going to be changed.
The last，
The last one.
咱妒忌一款批評性嘅思想，以稱讚要阿羅上嘅思想嚟代替。
We must remove critical thoughts and replace them with thoughts of praise.
睇我呢邊，
Tell your neighbor now.
睇我。
Tell them now.
Remove the critical
critical thoughts
thought and replace
replaced
the
with
thoughts
thoughts
of
of
praise.
praise.
聽，
Tell them now.
聽。
Tell them.
我用冷頓嘅聖經嚟解釋呢個真理。
And I'm going to explain this truth with two passages of Scripture.
Matthew 7:3-4。
Matthew 7, verses 3 to 4.
耶穌講：為什麼你總是看到你兄弟眼中有一根刺，未看到家己目中有一根叉呢？請你將你家己嘅眼中嘅，你看到家己嘅叉，之後對你兄弟講：好我妒忌你眼中嘅刺呢？
Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your own eye?
咱小家容易批評人，
It's so easy for us to criticize others
因為咱總是看到別人嘅身上裏面有一根刺。
because we are always looking at the speck of sawdust in somebody else's life.
咱嘅眼光真厲害，
Our eyes are so powerful.
咱真正 sharp。
Our eyes are very sharp.
這個人規身軀一根刺我都看到，
We are able to see even one speck of sawdust in a person's life.
但是問題是，
But here's the problem.
因為看到家己身軀無刺，但是自己大支叉。
This person isn't able to see the sawdust in his own life, yet he cannot see that there is actually a plank in his own eye.
Why？
Why?
因為咱嘅目睭總是看外口，
Because our eyes are always directed outwards.
咱嘅目睭唔捌看裡面。
Our eyes are never looking within.
今日咱小聖餐叫你省察家己。
Why is it that whenever we have the communion, we would say that you've got to examine yourself?
你若冇 examine yourself，
Because if you don't examine yourself,
你講拿罪家己袂歹，講袂歹。
then you would think that I'm fine, I'm great.
你若 examine yourself，
But then if you examine yourself,
你就知影關你，我唔是很好啦。
then you realize that I'm not that good after all.
常常批評人嘅人，
People who always are critical of others.
常常講家己正問題搞嘅人，
People who always talk like they're the best
就是唔捌省察家己嘅人。
are people who never examine themselves.
叫上帝幫助咱，
May God help us.
咱學習省察家己，
We've got to learn to examine ourselves.
唔當總是批評別人、責備別人。
Let us not always be criticizing others, rebuking others.
我看你中間誰人心內就是無滿無歡喜。
I'm sure that some of you will not be pleased with this.
艱難我看到別人唔對，未再講吧。
Why? If I see something
Huh?
wrong in another person's life, shouldn't
聖
I
經嘅時
speak
間
up?
咱教導別人啊，
Isn't it that the Bible teaches us that we must teach others?
冇講吧
Shouldn't I just shut my mouth and say nothing?
Yes.
Yes.
耶穌咪責備人。
And even Jesus rebuked people.
Number one，
But number one,
你需要清楚什麼叫批評，什麼叫責備。
first, you've got to be very clear and distinguish very clearly between criticism and rebuke.
什麼叫 criticism？criticism
What is criticism?
是真正消極，
Cri-
你嘅目的是要破壞對方，你嘅動機因為你冇歡喜。
Criticism is very negative, the purpose of which is to destroy the other person, and the motivation is hatred.
什麼叫做責備？
What does it mean to rebuke?
責備是真正積極，你嘅目的是要建立對方，因為你是在聽伊。
Rebuke is very positive. Your purpose is to build up the other person because you truly love the person.
你若冇聽人聽到這個所在，請你唔通開聲責備人。
If you don't love a person to this extent, please don't speak up to rebuke people.
你若責備了以後，
Because after you rebuke a
你
person,
行咯，行過。
and then the person says he's going to leave, and then you say, will you leave?
You are disqualified. You are disqualified.
Then you are disqualified.
你問人嘅問題，
You ask yourself two
Question
questions.
number one.
Question number one.
是唔是實在需要責備
Is it really necessary to rebuke?
？Number two，
Number two,
是唔是需要我去責備？
should I be the one to rebuke?
兩個冇生哦。
They're
Number one，
different.
是唔
Number
是
one,
實在需要
is it really necessary?
？Number two，
Number two,
是唔是對我責備？
should I be the one to do the rebuking?
真簡單啊！
Very simple.
我有三個囡仔，
I have 3 children.
喺這個世界裏面，
And in this world,
我是除了上帝，我及我嘅親像是第有資格責備我三個囡仔嘅人。
apart from God, I believe that me and my wife are the most qualified to rebuke my 3 children.
唔是你任何一個人，
Not any one of you.
唔是因為我是伊嘅父母 parents。
Not
No.
because I am their parents. We are their parent.
I'm sorry to tell you，
I'm sorry to tell you.
真侪父母無資格責備家己嘅仔女，
There are a lot of parents who aren't even qualified to rebuke their own children
因為伊唔是一個敬虔嘅父母，
because they are not godly parents.
伊無見證，
They do not have a good testimony.
伊無原則，
They do not have principles.
伊無資格責備家己嘅仔。
They are not qualified to rebuke their own children.
啊，你講哦，你個牧師佬 perfect 咯 ，perfect。
Oh, so you're saying that, oh, you and your wife,
No,
your
no,
pastor's
no, no.
wife, you're perfect.
We are not perfect，
So, no, we're not
we are
perfect.
not perfect。
We're not perfect.
但是
But
咱對心來聽伊，
we love them from our hearts.
咱實在聽伊，
We truly love them.
咱伫伊上帝頭前盡量為這囡仔設立咱嘅模樣。
And in the presence of God, we try our best to set a good example for them.
有時咱錯唔對，we say sorry to them。
Sometimes we make mistakes. We say sorry to them.
伊若唔對，
And if they make a mistake,
咱講伊。
then we scold them.
你想看未？
Think about this.
當你愛責備人嘅時陣，
When you want to rebuke
你
others,
是唔是安尼款嘅人？
are you such kind of a person?
是唔是需要責備？
Is it really necessary to rebuke?
是唔是我去責備？
Should I be the one to rebuke?
你知無？咱常常感覺咱有資格去責備人，
Many times we feel that we are qualified to rebuke
因為咱
people
未記第二個 principle，
because we have forgotten the second principle.
就是佢哋表述第二章第三節，
That is Philippians chapter 2 verse 3.
只要盡心謙卑，逐個人看別人比家己較強。
Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but rather in humility value others above yourselves.
In humility，
In humility,
你需要謙卑你家己。
you need to humble yourself.
咱總是看到別人無好，
We always look at the faults, see the faults of
因為咱
others
無看到別人嘅好，
because we do not see the good things about others.
逐個人嘅想法都無同，
Everyone's way of thinking is different.
逐個人嘅創大嘅辦法都無同。
Everyone's way of doing things is different.
你若無同就責備，
And then if they're not the same or different from what you're doing, then you rebuke them.
一同都責備。
All your life you will be rebuking people.
話試看咪話別嘅辦法，
Why don't you try changing a method?
可能我攞比責備更加有功效。
Perhaps praise is even more effective than rebuke.
你就一跟人很容，咱比較容易責備別人喎。
You know why it is easier for us to rebuke others?
嗱，你看這句話
Look at this.
We judged others by their actions, and we judge ourselves by the intentions of our heart. 咱責備人，因為咱看到別人錯唔對代志。
We rebuke, we judge others because we see that they've done something wrong.
We judge them by their action.
We judge them by their
咁
actions.
是
Right?
關你咯，關你咯，關你咯。
Oh, you're doing that again. You're
基
doing
督
that again.
徒啦，
And you're a Christian.
教會領袖啦，
You are a leader of the
我
church.
關你咯，關你咯。
And you're doing that again.
We judge them by their action.
We judge them by their actions.
But
But
we judge ourselves by our intention.
then we judge ourselves, on the other hand, by the intentions of our hearts.
我是好心啦，
Well, I've got a pure
雖
heart.
然我安尼做，我是好心啦，
Though I did that, it is out of a good intention
我是 righteous 啦。
because I am righteous.
你知影無？
You know what?
你似咁咪話將完全變起嚟。
Now, why don't you try changing this?
We judge others by their intention of their heart.
We judge others by the intentions of their hearts.
你減少真罪嘅 judgment。
Then we will lessen a lot of
We
judgment.
judge ourselves by our action。
We judge ourselves by our actions.
咱唔夠個抗襟咯，
Then we will no longer be proud.
這是咱嘅問題個，
Now, this is our problem.
所以求上帝幫助咱。
So may God help us.
Remove and we praise。
Remove and replace.
每將一款嘅批評性嘅代志、批評性嘅思想脫離佢者，
Remove critical thoughts
用感恩嘅心、用愛樂嘅心去面對。
and replace them with thankful thoughts.
記住這四個
Remember
principle。
these 4 principles.
Number one,
Number 1,
remove negative thought and replace with the positive thought。
remove negative thoughts and replace with positive thoughts.
及你隔壁人講
Tell the person beside you now.
，remove the
Remove
negative thoughts and replace with the positive thoughts。Number two,
Number 2,
remove
remove
the fearful thoughts and replace with courageous thought. Number three,
Number 3,
remove the
thoughts
thought of discontent and replace with the thankful thoughts. Number four, remove the critical thoughts and replace with the thought of praise. God bless you. Make a silent, please. 我們在咱的中間，三人的思想是在真正 negative，叫上帝今日的幫助你，用 positive 的思想來代替真正 negative 的思想。咁在咱的中間，有偌濟人，你的思想充滿着驚嚇，真充滿着怪異，叫上帝今日的教導你，以信靠上帝。勇敢嘅心嚟去面對，佢哋信心冇喺物質嘅裏面，佢哋信心冇喺家己嘅成就，佢信靠一位全能嘅上帝，所以佢知影 nothing is impossible with God。佢唔知佢中間有偌濟思想裏面真濟未滿意，早起起來就未滿意，未滿意這個，未滿意這個，叫上帝給你這個感恩嘅心。互你感謝上帝已經給你的物件，上帝知影你有通接受偌濟，上帝給你偌濟，上帝知影若互你受過罪，對你無拄拄是好嘅代志，互你學習滿足你現在已經所有。佢唔知中間偌濟真夠批評人，因為總是看到別人唔得嘅代志，叫上帝幫助，互你學習看你家己。看你家己，學習謙卑地做頭前，看別人比你家己較好，互阮將批評嘅思想放落嚟，以感謝、以愛樂嘅心嚟代替。做下阮知影阮真濟 toxic 嘅 thought 喺阮嘅思想嘅中間，阮知影阮若無 remove，we cannot replace。所以叫聖靈嚟幫助你嘅教會。我們靠着主的恩典 we can remove and replace this principle in our life. Thank you, Jesus. We pray in the Lord of Jesus. Amen and amen.